So here's a little track idea, and I'm going to show you some components here. Bass line, chord. This one here, I'm going to open it up. You may not recognize this one. You're probably thinking Primer. I've not heard of that synth before, and neither had I until I discovered something that I'm really excited about. And I'm just going to backtrack a little bit. I had to teach myself synthesis. It took a long time, and then I was able to pass on the knowledge. That was the great thing about it at Point Blank. You know, I was teaching there for over 10 years. I developed a sound design course. Analog synthesis was very much a part of that. And, you know, I always remember those moments, these kind of revelation moments when people would finally wake up and understand the parameters on a synthesizer and then be able to start shaping sounds of their own. Really, to make the most of a synthesizer, you need to understand how to use it. And on that underground music production forum of mine on Facebook, someone recommended this thing called Syntorial. And I was like, okay, I haven't heard of this before. Let me go and check it out. Let me just show you something. This is the website. And the great thing about this is it's a combination of two elements. So you've got the actual tutorial side, which is a whole bunch of instructional sessions based on the actual interface. And one of the great things about it is that all of these components here, when you start off trying to learn synthesis, they can become very daunting. There's almost too much on offer. So the great thing about this particular program for learning synthesis is that each of these components disappears. It only starts you off with the basic elements, things like just the oscillator, maybe a basic version of the amplifier envelope. So it really gets you to understand every single stage of the sound design process. One more thing, I want to show you a couple more sounds that I created using the synth. So we got the pluck. And there's that synth, the resonant pad. So, you know, I understand synthesis. In my mind, I can visualize sounds that I want to make, and I instinctively know where to reach on an analog synthesizer, where I want to go in terms of shaping those sounds. And you guys can get that too if you literally follow through all these steps. I'm just going to show you here. You can get a sense of how it works with the lessons. And I'm going to start this one here and let you hear some of the instructor on the sessions.
Saw and pulse waveforms. We begin in a section of the synth known as the oscillator. The oscillator is responsible for generating your initial raw sound, which is known as a waveform. The two most commonly used...
I'm just going to stop him here, and you can see what I was talking about earlier. We've literally broken down the synthesizer into blocks that are basically at the moment hidden, so it makes it very easy to understand. Starting off with the oscillator, just going to forward this, and you can see that he goes through different waveform types, and then at the end it's getting ready for something else, which is the challenge. And this is great because you get your hands on the controls and you've basically got to work with sound. So this is the first challenge, and this one is getting you to listen and try and work out which waveform you're hearing and then set that yourself on the synthesizer. So look, I'm going to play this. You can see some notes being triggered. They're triggering this oscillator. I'm going to start this. So that's the sound. You go to your patch, you choose which of the two it's going to be. Now I know that that's the sawtooth, so I'm going to submit that as my answer. Yeah! So I got it right. Let's go to the next one. Now, interestingly, you can hear that this is done intelligently. They're trying to trick you a little bit. It's a different set of notes, very similar, but it's transposed down. And so what I want to do is go to that, and I'm going to switch. I recognize the pulse wave in a square wave formation, so I'm going to basically play that and submit. Yeah! Thankfully, I got it right. It'd be a bit embarrassing if I got it wrong. You'll see that over time, you've got basically 199 lessons here, and basically, it's very comprehensive. It's going to open up all of that stuff that you see on the interface here, and you'll get to understand what each stage does. I highly recommend this. Seriously, it's quite rare that I do this kind of thing. This is definitely an endorsement on my behalf, because I've seen so many people struggle with synthesis over the years. If you can't afford to do a complete course in synthesis, this will allow you to do so at your own pace, and you can use the very, very same synthesizer at the end. And so, yeah, I will basically leave this looping. You can have a listen, and like I said, all the musical elements here were created with that Primer synthesizer.